Greetings my fellow freaks and weirdos, I'm Tom and welcome to Monster Gab, where we love all things horror, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about Mary Lwyd, a film released in 2023. Mary Lwyd is a short, independent, low-budget horror film written and directed by a friend of mine, Chad Jones. I had to review this film, didn't I? I mean, I promised I would. But first, a history lesson. Before we talk about the film, what in tarnation is Mary Lwyd? It's essentially a traditional Welsh custom that dates back to the 1800s, apparently. Do not take my word for gospel, folks. I am just telling you what I've researched, okay? The best way I can explain it is it's part of a folk winter festival that's still celebrated in parts of Wales today. The main figure or mascot that's associated with this celebration is a hobby horse. Yep. Usually someone will dress up as a ghostly horse-like figure, hiding underneath a sackcloth, holding a staff or pole, and attached to the top of this is an actual horse's skull. I kid you not, decorated with jingle bells too. One of the traditions for this morbid-looking character is to rally up a bunch of friends and go door to door singing carols and reciting poetry. And if you receive a visit, you're expected to feed them and possibly offer them an alcoholic beverage. So it's basically just trick-or-treating, but instead of Halloween, it's Christmas. And instead of kids, it's full-grown adults. And instead of sweets and candies, it's beers and other boozy drinks. I have zero complaints. But how do you make a horror film from all of this? Well, there are certain links and references to old Welsh paganism and folklore. Claims that Mary Lwyd was supposedly a real apparition with darker and more sinister purposes. Whether people actually believe this or it's something made up in more recent times to gain interest is irrelevant, as it's enough for Chad to take liberties and make his own story based around it. With a small cast of just two, this movie stars Rebecca Berry and Anwen Roberts. So here is the synopsis then. Somewhere in a rural Welsh village, barmaid Seren, played by Rebecca Berry, is trying to close the pub for the night, only to find Glynnis, the local drunk, played by Anwen Roberts, is still loitering around the place. Before being made to leave, Glynnis shares a warning of Mary Lwyd, an ancient creature willing to take more than just your food or drink should it ever be in your presence. Unwilling to believe silly folk tales, Seren carries out her tasks before walking home. As the light fades, she can't help but feel she's being followed by someone. Or something. Could it be Glynnis? Did her words actually get into Seren's head? Maybe it's someone else trying to torment Seren before acting out some wicked deed. Or, what if Mary Lwyd is real and more than just some old folktale? Let's talk about this movie then, and I like the fact that this film is based in modern day, but uses old folklore as the vehicle to deliver the elements of horror. I've no doubt that the budget for this film prevented it from being a periodic one, but if the movie was set in a time when the Mary Lwyd supposedly originated or originally existed, I'd imagine the characters would be more aware and better prepared to deal with it. In a more modern climate, it's easier to cast stories of a skeletal horse off as silly. With that level of ignorance, characters are more likely to be caught off guard should a thing exist. So as far as those characters are concerned, I think this makes for a scarier experience. How's that for an analogy? I like the acting. I think the two ladies did an excellent job here, but I also like their characters too. In fact, for a 10-minute film, it's amazing how much I actually took away from the characters. First of all, there's Glynnis, the town drunk, who is smashed off her face when she warns about Mary Lwyd. Now, I don't want to give away the ending, but if you've seen the film for yourselves, this point I'm about to make will make more sense. There's a good moral in this film and its story. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know, but the moral is how easy it is to judge people. If someone was to warn you about something even as crazy as the Mary Lwyd, I'm not saying you'd have to believe them, But I reckon that most people would be more inclined to believe someone of sound mind rather than someone who is steaming like a hot kettle. But should we not be asking ourselves how this person ended up that way? The character of Glynis is more than just drunk, she's an alcoholic, and Anwen Roberts does a great job of portraying this. Now maybe Glynis just likes the taste of booze and loves getting hammered on a regular basis, or maybe she's seen and experienced something so traumatic that she drinks as a means of escape. She gives her warning when there's a knock at the door and she comes across as angry and fed up. It's as if she's saying, "What's the point? Nobody believes me." But when it appears that there's nobody behind the door, we see a mischievous side to her as she laughs maniacally, as if she's behind some kind of prank. Well, maybe she is just drunk and totally full of it. But then when she's thrown out, we see despair and fear. This doesn't mean that Mari Lwyd is real, but Glynis clearly believes in it. Seren, on the other hand, is a character that's just trying to get on with her life, but she does come across as a bit naive, and again Rebecca Berry portrays this incredibly well. She makes out that she doesn't believe in these crazy fables, yet when there's a knock at the door and Glynis hints that it could be the Mari Lwyd, she's very tentative to open it. Not really the actions of a non-believer. When she throws Glynis out of the pub, she rants at her how stupid these tales are, yet she's frantic and flustered. She's about to walk home on her own in the dark and doesn't want to be spooked by ghost stories, yet something has clearly gotten to her. In the opening scene, the camera focuses on a traditional old-looking pendant that Seren is wearing. Her top also has some kind of symbols on it too. It could just be nothing, coincidence perhaps, even fashion. Some people like that sort of thing. But the fact that the camera focuses on this tells me that Seren has some traditional values of her own, and deep down she may also be a believer. So in those moments where she's telling herself that Mari Lwyd isn't real, maybe moments where she's just trying to comfort herself. After all, she's got to walk home on her own in the dark. Now, this film is made and based in Wales, but it is spoken in the English language. However, there is one small scene that is actually spoken in Welsh, and Chad made the deliberate decision not to add subtitles. For anyone who understands the language will know what's being said, but this is not a case of Welsh pride or an inside joke. It's believed that most people who will watch this film will likely be non-Welsh speaking. As an audience member, we're more than just a fly on the wall. We're there, we're part of the movie, feeling and sharing some of the characters' emotions at times. We can see and hear everything that they do, but they can't see and hear us. Suddenly the dialect changes and we can't understand what they're saying. The characters gain a little privacy and we, the audience, start to feel left out. And this happens during a scene where we really want to know what's going on and what's being said. It's a clever attempt to make the audience feel uncomfortable, especially during a scene where one of the characters is also experiencing an uncomfortable situation. And as for the music in this film, oh, it's awful. It's terrible. The music in this film was by me. Yeah, I did the music for this film. I'm not going to tell you if the music's any good or not. You can judge for that yourselves, and please do let me know in the comment section if you think it's any good or not. I had nothing to do with the music in the opening scene or the credits. That's something else. I just do the music that's within the film and the meat in the sandwich, if you will. But it's a huge honour to be a part of this film, and yeah, it's a nice gesture that Chad came up to me and asked me to do the music in this film. Originally, I think he wanted folk music, which I think would have been more fitting actually, but I'm not capable of doing that. I only play like keyboards and synthesizers, etc. So I just said, look, I can record some generic horror music, kind of like what you hear on my channel. This is what you're listening to right now. Yeah, that's me. And if it's suitable, you can use it. By all means, you have my blessing. If not, I won't get offended. And that's exactly what happened. I actually recorded a mountain of music for him. Far too much. I knew he couldn't use the majority of what I sent him, but at least he had something to choose from. Something that might have been, one piece might have been more fitting than another, for instance. Anyway, he used my music, and like I said, I'm really, really honoured. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of this film then. Well, the pros for me are, I like the way this film is directed. Bear in mind that Chad has never directed a film before, by the way. This is his first film that he's ever made. He's had no experience whatsoever. And to be fair, that doesn't show as far as I'm concerned. There seems to be some really nice shots in this film. I especially like the aerial shot at the beginning of the film as well that closes in on the pub. I'm guessing that was done with a drone or something. But yeah, I love the camera work. I think it's really, really good. Another pro for me is the characters. There are only 2 characters, but they're very interesting characters, and the acting as well. I think the acting is fantastic. I do not know if these 2 ladies are genuine actors, if they do any kind of drama or act in anything else. I'll have to look that up. But as far as I'm concerned, they did a great job here. They were really, really good. Another pro for me is the running time. It's only 10 minutes long, and it's all it needs to be, especially a film of this type anyway. It gets the job done, it tells the story, does a little bit of horror, and it's entertaining. I don't think it needed to be any more than 10 minutes, and it's not. Should I put my music on the pro list? I'll let you decide. As for the cons of this film, I'll be totally honest, I don't really have any. Not without being nitpicky and picking holes in the film, especially due to its budget, for instance, because that would be unfair. I know I'm not watching a Hollywood blockbuster high budget movie, so I'm not going to criticize anything that is due to its budget. So with that in mind, I can't really find any flaws in this film. I found it entertaining regardless. If I was to pick any cons, I suppose I would have liked to have seen a bit more depth in the folklore, just a bit more explanation, and the darker folklore, even if it's not true, if it doesn't come from any real kind of source material, just something to kind of add a bit more kind of mystery to the film. It kind of does get explained, but I'd have liked it to have been a bit deeper perhaps, but then that might have added to the running time too. I suppose 15 minutes would have been okay if there was more depth in the folklore, but you know what, that is being nitpicky too. I don't have any cons for this film. Cons? I don't know. Big old pile of Robertson's fruit shoot. Why is it on the bar? I don't want to see that there when I go to the pub. I don't know. Even with the labels turned around, I know what they are. Now, normally this is where I score the film out of 10, but I've made a rule on this channel that if I review an independent film of this type, I'm not going to do that. What I will do is give it my blessing and recommend it to you guys so you can score it out of 10 yourselves, and you can let me know in the comment section what you think. This film is totally free to watch. It's on YouTube right now. I will leave a link in the description so you can go check it out for yourselves and give Chad your support. In fact, give all of these independent filmmakers your support, as much as you can anyway. If you're one of those people that only watches high-budget Hollywood films, then fine, that's entirely up to you. But you should still acknowledge these small filmmakers, these independent filmmakers, because if it wasn't for people like these, they wouldn't aspire to be something else. Because everyone comes from somewhere. Even these Hollywood blockbuster films, all these people started from somewhere, making small indie films. And I just think that you should support these people. And look, it's too easy to pick holes in these films or say that they're not very good if you're going to compare them to major Hollywood blockbuster films. That's totally not fair. These films have no budget or very low budget, and you have to take that into consideration when you watch them. And when you do, you can find that some of them are real gems, and some of them are very enjoyable to watch. I personally think this is a great film, and I'm not just being biased because Chad's a friend of mine. I genuinely think he's made a very good, entertaining film here. But I'd love for you guys to check it out for yourselves. Like I said, there's a link in the description. Go check it out for yourselves, and let me know here in the comments section what you think of Mary Lwyd. Anyway, folks, that is all we've got time for in this episode. Thank you so much for stopping by, and until next time. I don't know who they are, but if you don't subscribe, they will get you. So make sure you are indeed subscribed. Click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new video here on Monster Gab. Like the video if you did indeed like it, and share this with your friends. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.